I'm sure you may have heard today, but they were doling out some L's in D.C. at the D.C. District Court. Paul Manafort, President Trump's former campaign chairman, well, he got his second federal prison sentence in the last 2 weeks. And this one was courtesy of Judge Amy Berman Jackson, who really wasn't here for Manafort's repeated, "I'm so sorry," very apologetic, asking for some leniency. He's 69 years old. He said prison is hard. Well, Judge Jackson, she wasn't for it at all. Let's check out some of her comments. She says this defendant, talking about Manafort, is not public enemy number one, but he's not a victim either. The defendant's insistence that none of this should be happening to him, that the prosecution is misguided and excessive and invalid, is just one more thing that is inconsistent with a genuine acceptance of responsibility. And, well, she helped him become a little bit more responsible for his decades worth of campaign for lobbying crimes, as well as obstruction of justice and other financial crimes. And she doled him out 43 more months, adding on to his 47-month sentence that he got a few weeks ago. And that puts Manafort in for 7.5 years in federal prison. He's also gonna have to pay a $6.16 million fine. But then, New York, well, the Big Apple wanted to take a bite out of Manafort. Within an hour of him getting his federal sentence, they issued him a 16-count indictment. Check out these crimes. Woo! Residential mortgage fraud. 3 counts of that: attempted mortgage fraud, account conspiracy, falsifying business records, scheme of fraud to defraud. This man, he just cannot not lie or commit crimes, apparently. And, well, the New York City DA is going to give him a free tour of Rikers Island. And this is what he said. The DA said, following an investigation commenced by our office in March 2017, a Manhattan grand jury has charged Mr. Manafort with state criminal violations which strike at the heart of New York's sovereign interests, including the integrity of our residential mortgage market. No one is beyond the law in New York. And they aren't indeed, and I happened to look it up, and it looks like Manafort's facing anywhere from 13.5 years to 138 years in state prison. Do you all think that these L's are decent enough for Manafort?
Okay, so let's break it down. First of all, let me translate the Manhattan District Attorney's comments for you. He's saying, yeah, the president can't pardon on state charges. So this is our insurance policy. So if Trump pardons Manafort for keeping the real crimes that they did together secret, it doesn't matter because we're gonna come get you. That's 16 counts, son. You're in a world of trouble no matter what Trump does. Today, Lindsey Graham said that it would be politically disastrous for Trump to pardon him, but Trump has hinted at that all throughout, which leads us back to the original case here. So Justice Jackson in this case, I don't think was as egregious as T.S. Ellis III, who was a very right-wing judge who just a little while ago gave him a lenient sentence and said, well, he's lived an otherwise blameless life.
Seriously.
Okay, I mean, he was a foreign agent for another government and did not tell us. He hid $50 million worth of taxes, worth of income, which would be tens of millions of dollars in taxes that he robbed from the American people. And there was many other counts, right? Well, okay, so if someone robbed a bank for about $15 million, you'd be like, well, I mean, before he stole the $15 million, he lived an otherwise blameless life. And besides which, we don't know that at all.
Exactly, just because you haven't been caught doesn't mean that you weren't doing all of this criminality and misconduct. It's just, it's ridiculous what this judge did.
And Adrienne, that goes to one part of why they thought they should get a lenient sentence this time around. His lawyer said, but for a short stint as a campaign manager in a presidential election, I don't think we would be here today. I think the court should consider that too. In other words, if we weren't briefly Trump's campaign manager, we never would have gotten caught. Okay, that's not really a defense, okay? But Your Honor, I almost got away with it. It's not great defense.
But Your Honor, no one thought he was going to win, okay? Even he didn't think he was going to win. I love, actually, it's so funny that everyone who working for the Trump administration are like, what do you mean? We knew we were gonna win. Like, no, you didn't. And everything you've done up until this point shows that you didn't think you were gonna win and you thought you were gonna get away with all of this. I just wanna know, Is there gonna be ostrich feathered jumpsuits in prison?
I doubt it. I heard Rikers has pretty good food. The applesauce is pretty strong.
There you
so
go.
Maybe that.
Yeah, and so let's keep breaking down this blameless life otherwise and poor Manafort. So I believe that Justice Amy Berman Jackson here is acting in good faith and good intent, and has shown that in the other ways that she has handled this case and others. So I'm saying that with the context of her record, okay? Now, having said that, I still think she's wrong. I think the sentence was still too lenient. She said the federal minimum guidelines were excessive. No, they weren't. Why are they never excessive when it comes to minorities and poor Americans and middle-class Americans? But as soon as you see a guy in an ostrich jacket, all of a sudden, well, they're but for the grace of God goes I, right? Or someone I know.
Suddenly he has a family. Like,
yeah.
I'm so interested. Like, how many nonviolent drug offenses? Like, how many, defense attorneys are like? How often is it presented to a jury that like, hey, this guy or this woman, they have a family? Like,
but
it's
really
never
important for the judiciary to make sure that they communicate that white men are still subject to a different justice system. And in the event that she were to give him, that full maximum, then it may undermine that whole principle that America's founded on. And that's not something we can do.
I was wondering where you were going with that. Okay, so especially rich white men. Let's keep breaking it down, because to Francesca's point, well, just a couple of years back, a guy got a life sentence for a joint. Now they say, well, but we had busted him on other drug charges earlier. So you smoke 3 joints, and in some places in America, you can get a life sentence. But what are we supposed to give Manafort credit for stealing the $15 million at once? Right? And again, we don't even know that that's true. And in fact, we do know he got those payments throughout different years. So you could count it as multiple counts. If you did that, he should be serving a life sentence.
That's right.
And I would argue stealing $15 million from the American taxpayers is far more egregious than smoking a joint. Yep. But yet there are people, and usually minorities, but definitely poor, that are in jail forever, for their life for that. A woman recently, and you're gonna be shocked to find out she was African American, got 5 years for accidentally voting twice. And no one really charges that it was anything but an accident. But they're like, but hey, look, we're gonna come down on voter fraud. So you're going to prison for 5 years, okay? Both of these judges, now these are 2 different cases. A Virginia case.
Did she vote Republican?
You're gonna be shocked to find out that it was not likely the case. Okay, so both of these judges gave him less than 4 years.
Yep.
For different counts, different crimes, right? The New York case is a 3rd case, also different counts, different crimes. So you accidentally vote twice, you get 5 years if you're poor and African American. But if you're rich, you get less than 4 years for massive crimes.
But he's 69 and he has gout.
Yeah, what is gout? I didn't know people got gout anymore. That's like saying you have scurvy. Like what? Are we discovering the new world here? Like what is going on?
People do have gout, to be fair.
Okay, yeah, but like,
but you see, that's exactly what my point, though, Francesca. Exactly. So he kept saying like, I have a family. Actually, he just has a wife. So usually they love to hide behind their kids.
Yes.
But he's like, my wife is 66 and I have to take care of her. Dude, she's not 86 or 96, right? Okay, and so what? The woman who got busted on the double voting, she has a family too.
That's right.
But when it comes to her, we don't give a damn about her family. The guy who had a joint, he had a family. Nobody gave a damn about his family. We weren't having long conversations about, oh, but hey, dude, that smoked a joint, do you have gout? You know, what do you have? Do you have upset stomach, right? How about your kids and your grandkids or your uncles or your aunts? We're never having that conversation when it's poor people.
But he's reached new self-awareness,
yes, he did.
Cenk, in prison. He says he's reached new quote unquote self-awareness, that like he can just not wear orange. You know, like it just doesn't work with his hair and just the white, he wants to be a silver fox, and you can't be a silver fox in Rikers. I think the whole thing with this, right, is that he wasn't sentenced to around collusion charges, right? No collusion, which is what his lawyers came out and said when he got the first 4 years, right? Yes. No collusion. Well, this wasn't about Russian collusion, and these most recent the convictions and the sentence wasn't about collusion either. However, they are about money laundering, and they are about laundering money using more real estate here in the United States and receiving up to $50 million from a pro-Russian oligarch, basically to advocate on behalf of pro-Russian Ukrainian interests from a Russian oligarch. So like, it's not related.
Yeah.
But it isn't a collusion conviction or a sentence. But to say that it's completely unrelated would also be untrue. So I'm interested to see how this is gonna continue to play out as the Mueller investigation, you know, whenever we get it.
Yeah, we'll get it around 2020.
So the judge said the same thing. He's like, why are you bringing up the no collusion with the Russians in the campaign? That's not what this case is about. And you know why they're bringing it up.
Pardon habit.
Because they're saying, Mr. President, if you'd like to pardon us, we keep telling them there's no collusion, wink, wink, right? But wait, this has nothing to do with this case, right? So that's obviously why, and she's, I mean, she's upbraiding them for that, but who cares? Look, he could have gotten 10 years. And they say, well, he did cooperate. No, he didn't. He cooperated in the beginning, and then he lied to them while cooperating. That means you throw the book at him. That means he gets the maximum.
Right.
So he showed no remorse at all. In the Judge Ellis case, he didn't even apologize. So now finally he apologizes, but after, you know, he's now in front of a non-friendly judge. He got caught lying. He got caught tampering with witnesses. That's exactly when you get the maximum, not the minimum. So it's definitely a miscarriage of justice. And finally, you know, they brought him in a wheelchair. And he said, oh my God. Yeah, when he's out and about, right? When he had all the money and he didn't, you know, report it, and he's working as a foreign agent and betraying the country, et cetera, he's got ostrich jackets.
Yep.
And walking around like a peacock, if you will, mixing birds here, right? Like, oh yeah, look at my great suit. I'm great, I'm in charge, right? And then when he gets caught, all of a sudden, oh, I'm in a wheelchair. Oh, I got a 66-year-old wife. I got a wheelchair. Oh, somebody have sympathy for me. No, zero sympathy. You did the crime, you should do the time. You should have done a hell of a lot more time than this. And if Trump in his infinite corruption pardons you, then New York State's coming for you anyway. And they should throw a bigger sentence if you get convicted at you at the state level. And by the way, if Trump pardons him, even though Manafort's charges didn't have to do with Trump, that shows you for a fact that Trump and Manafort are hiding something that did have something to do with Trump. Yes. Otherwise, he'd have no reason to pardon Manafort at all. Right. In other words, good job in keeping the real crimes away from them. You thought this stuff was bad. Wait till you see what Manafort's got on Trump. That's why Trump keeps tweeting like, oh yeah, Manafort's a good guy. Right. Oh, so sad what happened to Manafort. Yep. What a good guy. Are you kidding me? If Manafort and Trump did not do something illegal together, and then it turns out Manafort was doing something separate illegal, like in this case, and Trump found out, and then it's now Trump is being blamed for it? Do you have any idea how quickly Trump would throw Manafort under the bus?
That's right.
He'd be like, this son of a bitch, I didn't know. He betrayed me, this loser, sad baby, terrible, I can't believe it, right? So what is Manafort still hiding today? Like what you see? Click the subscribe button below and don't forget to ring the bell to never miss another video from the Young Turks.